you don't feel good after Saturday when you lose a game after everything you put in, right? So I mean, it's just one of those things where you got to flush it, you got to move it forward, and you guys got to understand like what happened, and you got to take that and you got to push it forward.
What's the 24-hour rule look like for you? Do you do anything specific to kind of get on to the next week?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that it's hard. You know, what I mean, anytime I hate losing. You know, what I mean, I don't. I mean, it's not anything that I like to put out there, and just I consider myself a pretty competitive person. You know, what I mean, and just whatever it is, I want to win. But you got to learn from it. So I mean, just I think we all watched the tape a million times, and you kind of just you got to have extreme ownership over it. So I mean, there's plays that I left out there. And I take ownership for, and just like those plays kind of haunt you a little bit. You know what I mean? But 24 hours, you got to know you got to flush it, and you can't just overthink those plays, and you got to push it forward because you know that those plays are coming up against Northwestern. So you have to learn from them, and then you got to play forward.
What's Brendan's role this week? Is he helping you guys out in the scout? Just given, I mean, obviously you guys faced him when he was at Northwestern last year.
Yeah, Sullivan. I mean, he's just a heck of a football player. Just the contributions that he's had to this team, and he's come in, and he's just been a real leader, honestly, on this team too. So, I mean, his role. I mean, it's just like any other week, really. You know, I mean, we're watching the tape. We're going in there. I mean, it's pretty much a new staff too, so it's like it's a little different. But I mean, definitely Sullivan's he's just been a great asset to have on our team this week.
Not very often that we're talking about missed tackles with you guys. What do you kind of attribute that to?
It just comes down to fundamentals. You know what I mean? Whatever costs, we got to use our fundamentals and we got to get the guy down. And I mean, obviously on Saturday, that was one of the things that happened.
Is there an adjustment of goals now? I mean, each of the last few years, Iowa's been kind of in the race for a Big Ten title until pretty much last week. At this point, it's not a likelihood to get to the Big Ten championship game. Do you guys have an adjustment of kind of what your end-game goals are at this point?
It's just 1 week seasons. You know what I mean? So it's just like a 1 week season. So every week is its own individual season. So we got to try and get that one win this week, and we're focused on next week. But right now we can't get to next week until this week. And when the end of the season comes, that's what we'll figure out.
Last year the defense was the lead. This year you've given up, I think, 400 yards in 2 of the last 3 games, and Washington was pretty close to that too. What's missing from this defense that you feel like you guys had in last year?
I mean, I don't think that anything's missing. Look at it. I mean, it's almost pretty much the same guys. Missing a couple, and hats off to those couple. They're heck of football players. You know what I mean? So there's no demise to those guys at all. But it just really comes down to just the fundamentals and the preparation, and just going out on Saturday and competing. You know what I mean? We have to go out there on Saturday and compete. And play our tails off, you know what I mean, just to do anything possible to get those wins.
What do you recall from last year's goal line stand against Northwestern?
Most fun 4 plays of my life, you know what I mean? So most fun 4 plays. So, I mean, that's just one of those things where, it's kind of like a linebacker's dream, you know what I mean? Just going at it, downhill football. But, yeah, it was an amazing atmosphere, crowd, all that stuff. And, it's one of those things you look back and you'll tell your kids and grandkids about.
Looking back, Jay took a lot of the blame, if you could call it that, on himself for the way the defense played on Saturday. When your leader takes a loss like that, how do you guys pick him up while keeping him in that leadership role?
I mean, we know Jay Higgins at the end of the day. Anything that happens, he's going to take accountability for. Anything negative that happens, he'll take accountability for. But we know, like, where everything really lies, and we know he plays his tail off, and things aren't necessarily on him. We all take ownership, you know what I mean? So, he takes it hard, you know what I mean? And he's the leader of this team and the leader of this defense. So, a lot of people just know that we got to pick it up, and he holds us all accountable too. So, you know what I mean? So we got to all pick it up. We got to all grow forward, and we got to all push forward.
What were the conversations like on Sunday, kind of reckoning with that loss?
It's just we got to learn from it, really. I think at the end of the day, like a lot of people just talked about, it happened. You can't go back. You can't fix it. You can't change it. So now it's like you got to learn from it, and then you got to apply that to this week. So you can't let the same mistakes beat you twice.
Any particular players who are especially vocal in that?
Nah, I just think it's just a collective understanding from the whole unit.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.